Dr. Joy, what has happened? I'm so glad to have you on the show. Thanks for taking some time to join us today.
Yeah, absolutely, Nate. I'm so excited to talk with you.
So, for anyone who's not familiar with you or your work, can you just tell us a little bit about what made you predict this kind of meteoric rise of stem cell research and this as a like alternative method for rehabilitation, rejuvenation, and longevity?
Yeah, because, okay, I saw this as a revolution. So a lot of people, well, pioneers saw that because this is the first time in human history that we're tapping into the intelligence that created us. And then we're putting that intelligence back into the human body to promote healing. So it's a revolutionary concept. It is revolutionary in theory, but when you actually look at the research, they actually support the theory. That's what's amazing since its starting point. So the more and more evidence are coming up that the stem cell therapy actually can help with the multitude of conditions. And that's why it's so exciting. I think because people who, we have a sick population, the obesity rate and the inflammation rate, cancer, all this are related to aging and decline and inflammation. And traditional medical route doesn't have very good solutions for it. We were not trained. I'm trained traditionally at UCLA medical school. We were taught half an hour of nutrition. So we're not equipped in optimizing people's health. We just wait for people to get sick. So that is the traditional route. But if people are not getting better, and the medicine keep them okay, kind of keep them at bay. Some may go back, may stall the disease or maybe even reverse some symptoms, but with a lot of side effects. So that's the state of medicine. So people are either not getting adequate relief or are on all these medications with all these side effects. So they are searching for solutions. And that's what stem cell therapy can offer. That it's giving them tremendous hope in a time where there's really not a lot of solutions. I think doctors are frustrated and patients are frustrated. And if somebody got got a good result, they're going to tell their friends and families. And that's how the word just spread. That's why I said it's a grassroots movement that the people will want it and they ask for it. And doctors are trying to catch up. That's what I see. Doctors are like, oh my God, I have 4 or 5 people already asking me for stem cell therapy. I don't know how to do it. Dr. Kong, can you teach me? So that's why it's spreading because it works.
Gotcha. Okay. Going back to just like talking about kind of the state of the industry, obviously doctors are in it to help people, right? But it seems like the people coming out of medical school are somewhat handicapped by like the education system and, the idea of, like you said, once people like waiting until the problem gets so bad that we're now applying a bandage to it, you've kind of taken you went through the traditional route, but you've now kind of pivoted and taking a non-traditional route to performance and healing. Do you feel like to stay in that traditional route is to like kind of get left behind a little bit with some of like the new ideas around medicine that are coming out now?
Yes,
Tell me a
they
little
are.
more.
They're left behind and they don't know it. So that's what I see. For example, I have a friend who manages a lot of doctors at Kaiser, and doctors are coming to her saying, I'm feeling like I'm falling behind. I'm not up to date. People come to me, patients come to me with all these questions, and I don't know how to answer. So they are falling behind. So some are sensing it. Some just want to stick their head in the sand and don't want to know because this is what I was taught. This is what the medical board says. This is what FDA says. So this is what I'm going to do. As long as I do what they've told me, then I'm protected, right? Liability wise and everything. You can cause death, but you are completely not vulnerable to any kind of repercussions because you went by the book. The book says you can give this drug for this disease. And if all these side effects and all these terrible things can happen, including death, it's fine as long as you told patients about it. So then if you want to live in a net of safety, that's a great way to go. But if you actually want to really help people, then you've got to step outside of that box. So, but I would
If you
say
could go,
majority of the doctors are still confined.
gotcha. And it seems like the system is kind of designed in a way to keep them confined. So if
Yes.
you were to go back, Dr. Joy, and you were able to snap your fingers and change like the state of medical education in this country and change what medical school does for like new doctors and people who are just learning and going through the system, what would you do to ensure that that we're not just like putting band-aids on stuff with medication?
We have to understand what it takes to keep people healthy. The doctors do not know how to do it. It's not part of the education. The education is completely disease oriented. So if we can focus our attention on wellness, on how to make a person optimized and thrive, and if you can focus on that, a lot of the diseases simply will go away. But if you don't know anything about it, you just let people do whatever they do, eat terrible food and not exercise, and be exposed to toxic substances, and then they come to you with they're sick, and then you throw all these drugs at them. The drug companies are happy, the insurance companies are happy, so everybody's happy. The doctors continue to be in business because people are really sick. So that became a self-perpetuating. It's great for the drug company, insurance companies. The doctors used to be pretty good. It got worse and worse because their compensations are cut and cut. So they became slaves. So literally they became medical slaves to the insurance company and the drug companies. So that's why a lot of doctors are quitting medicine. It's really sad. You've got all this education, but you're so frustrated. You're giving a few minutes per patient. What is it? Oh, Cedar Sinai wanted doctors to spend 7 minutes per patient. How much can you accomplish and help a person in 7 minutes, right? So some doctors just say, screw it. I'm done. I'm done with medicine. So that is where we've come to. The doctors have become medical slaves to these giant corporations.
Whoa. Okay. Thanks for the interview. I was really crazy. I'm going to sign off now.
Okay.
That's insane to hear, Dr. Joy. Like, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are kind of on this more like, carnivore, low carb, like everything you read is wrong and toxic system who believe that. But to hear that come from you, who's come out of the UCLA medical school, like that's really powerful and very compelling. So I want to get into the stem cells since you're obviously a tremendous expert in that subject. And so when I think of stem cells, I think of someone hurting their knee and they go into Tijuana and they get a stem cell injection in the knee, and it's helpful for resolving like athletic injuries, muscle recovery, that sort of thing. What benefits and potentials are you seeing beyond some of just like the athletic joint muscle repair
Yeah, my
in the
goodness.
industry?
There's so much. I actually give a lecture at one of the conferences that where a lot of doctors who do stem cell treatments they attend. So specifically, it's actually on YouTube. It's about I was presenting clinical evidence for diverse disease conditions. So I give a quick glimpse of all the conditions that there have been research evidence showing benefits. So that's kind of an abbreviation of the course I teach through American Academy of Integrated Cell Therapy, where I go through all these organ systems and disease categories. Let's just start, from autoimmune diseases. That's like the bread and butter. It's fantastic for autoimmune conditions, and there are 122 autoimmune diseases we know. And then there's of course musculoskeletal. That's the bread and butter. And we have, from head to toe, right? From neurological conditions, neurodegenerative issues, traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, or, Alzheimer's, that kind of diseases, Parkinson's, to internal organs, heart, congestive heart failure, atherosclerosis, different, post heart attack repair, lung diseases like COPD, pulmonary fibrosis, or liver cirrhosis, liver conditions, kidney failure. I've seen people I've treated with testicular inflammation and swelling, repeated infections. I've seen people getting great benefits with fertility. There's some research results showing benefits for fertility. You can receive benefits in autism, or in, let's say, different, just different other organs, hearing, eye. There are various benefits shown. So wide range. Is it a panacea? No, but has it shown to be highly beneficial in a lot of conditions, offering hope to people previously having no hope at all? Absolutely. Yeah, wide range.
And you're talking about recovery rather than a band-aid and taking like pharmaceuticals to just mask the symptoms. You're talking about like actually restoring health and wellness rather than just being like, hey, now you don't feel it.
Exactly. Fixing it from the fundamental level. Most of our chronic illnesses is driven by inflammation. So stem cells are particularly good at reducing the inflammation. It's highly anti-inflammatory and it shifts your immune system. So a lot of our current problems is because we have overactive immune system. It's attacking itself, right? Causing all kinds of symptoms and a lot of some diseases we don't even know what it is. Doctors say, "Oh, you have some kind of autoimmune disease." Yeah, it's because the environment is toxic, your body is not balanced, so you have this overactive immune system attacking itself, and stem cell therapy is highly beneficial when it comes to shifting the immune system back to a more balanced state. And then on top of it, it can break down scar tissue, right? How helpful is that? Not only musculoskeletally, but in your lungs, in your liver, in your kidneys, it can break down scar tissue and it can help regenerate blood vessels. So forming new blood vessels so oxygen, nutrients can be delivered and waste can be removed. And that is crucial for healing. Blood supply is one of the most fundamental aspects for healing. And then on top of it, it can has anti-cancer properties, can tell cancer cells to die. It also has protective properties. If cells are injured, but don't have to die. A lot of times some, certain dying cells, let's say crush injury or stroke, the dying cells send out signals to tell the neighboring cells to die. But stem cells can go in there and rescue these cells, so reduce the extent of injury. And it all can also provide mitochondria transfer, especially if you use young stem cells like what I use from the umbilical cord. Then you have fresh young mitochondria. You can actually improve your mitochondria pool, right? Better mitochondria. So there are all these fundamental aspects to healing that tell me a drug that can do this, right? None. So yeah, that's why it's so exciting.
So when you're talking about these stem cells for, anti-inflammatory properties, fixing autoimmune, musculoskeletal issues, fixing COPD, or working on Alzheimer's, are we talking about different types of stem cells, or are stem cells, and it just
Oh
kind of
gosh,
like the
there's
application depends on? Can you
there's
explain this like I'm
so yeah.
five?
And okay,
I'm like
all
barely
right.
grasping what's happening
Okay.
right now.
Okay. If you're five, imagine when you were born or before you were born. Remember, I don't know if you know that you were once a single cell. You were a fertilized egg. This is how miraculous we all are, that we now are fully formed human beings. But guess what? We came from one cell. What's in that one cell that has the kind of in, in, just improbable intelligence that can form us, right? So that one cell is a quintessential first stem cell. From that first stem cell, then you can have more stem cells, more stem cells. So you form the ball. And actually, day 5 to 7 after fertilization, that's when you can get a few cells from the inner cell mass of this ball and use those as embryonic stem cells. By the way, no one I know in this country is providing embryonic stem cell treatment, clinically, unless it's under a clinical study, but not as far as I know. So, um, the when it starts to form, when the embryo is developing, all those cells are stem cells. They keep changing, they keep developing new protein surface markers, gaining more function, but they're losing capacity while they're gaining function because genes are turned on and off. So as they keep going down the pathway until they get to the very end organ, let's say your heart, right? It becomes a heart muscle cell. That cell is no longer a stem cell, but right before it becomes the heart cell, it was a heart stem cell. So the heart muscle cell has a precursor, and that's a stem cell. So all this along the pathway, there are thousands and thousands of, different types of stem cells. So when we talk about stem cells, we can talk about all of those. We can include all of those, or we can include a portion of those. What's most popular and most fashionable, has a lot of active research going on, is mesenchymal stem cells. So these are cells formed, from a particular germ layer. When the babies form, there are 3 germ layers. So from this middle germ layer, you can get these mesenchymal stem cells that ended up to be populating your entire body. So anywhere you have blood supply and blood vessels, these cells are right there. They're hugging the blood vessels. They're holding on to your blood vessels. while they are keeping pulse on the environment that they're in, right? Whatever tissue they're in, they're talking to the local stem cells, they're talking to the immune cells in the neighborhood. They can also send signals into the blood, and they can sense signals sometimes when there's strong enough signal that they this is all the intelligence, that we're trying to figure out, right? So certain signals will kind of wake them up, and they will realize that, oh, I need to get into the blood vessels and go somewhere else. So they will actually swim upstream like a salmon to find the location where the signal is emitted and get to that place, which usually is the site of inflammation and injury. And then they will get out of the blood vessels and start to do its work. So these are the cells that we're talking most commonly. But when we use bone marrow transplant or umbilical cord blood transplantation, there's only a small fraction that are these cells, mesenchymal stem cells, MSCs. Majority of them are what's called mononuclear cells. These are immature immune cells, so primitive immune cells. They are stem cells, but they are not MSCs. So people don't realize that there's so many different kinds. But both are important. A lot of people only use one kind. So my philosophy is that I want to include everything in my therapy. So in what I do, the product I formulated, we actually use cells from all these different sources.
Gotcha. Okay. And you're kind of just relying on the innate intelligence in the stem cells to solve issues in specific locations. I know you said they can go upstream and kind of find the spots where the signal's coming from, like most likely places from inflammation or that have damage.
Yeah.
But is it very dependent on like where the stem cells are applied? Is it
No, I'll give you a
location dependent?
story that will put in a tangible form. My very first patient, he was 69 years old. He came to me because he was facing bilateral knee replacement because two separate orthopedic surgeons said, your knees are in such bad shape. You have osteoarthritis, they're bone on bone. So you absolutely need bilateral knee replacement. And he said, I don't want to do that. I'm very active. I just don't want to go through that. So this is 8 years ago. I give him injections in both knees, and then I give him an IV infusion because my philosophy when treating osteoarthritis, these chronic inflammatory joint diseases, is that you want to attack from both angles. You want to attack from the joint because inside the joint, the inner 2/3 of the cartilage is nourished by the synovial fluid. But the outer 1/3 of cartilage is nourished by the blood supply. So the blood and the synovial fluid have very, very slow exchange rate. So if you attack from both angles, the entire thickness of the cartilage can receive the signals. So that's what I did. But what's interesting was the next day, he said, hey, I slept through the night, and I haven't slept through the night for decades because I had a car accident when I was a teenager when the car rolled over and I injured my rotator cuff and it never fully healed. So every night when I shift and move my body around, I wake up. And he said, I slept through the night. And then he kept sleeping through the night. So that no longer is a problem. Basically, the cells I gave him through IV found its way because that area probably is screaming inflammation, that I'm not healed. I don't know how to repair. I don't have the right signals. The cells went right to that area through the IV route. So IV route, I think, is very powerful. And I've seen it happen again and again and again. I think is one of the main driving forces. Not only it can get to the site that's they need to repair, but they can also activate the immune system. So they interact with your spleen and with your peripheral lymphoid system. So all these can mount a repair response that your local tissue may need. So I think IV it's going to be one of the fundamental, like a main feature for stem cell therapy.
Okay. This sounds like incredible, but it also sounds like something my insurance is definitely not going to cover.
They will one
So,
day, but not yet.
so I feel like a lot of times, I talk to people who are like, I'm going to get stem cells, and they talk about like going to Mexico or going to Thailand or something like that. How does is that a good option? Or should we be like, is there better options here locally in the US? Like, how do you recommend someone start going about this if they, for example, had someone tell them they need bilateral knee replacements?
Yeah, I actually believe that people can get better therapy here. But again, when it comes to stem cells, there's so many different kinds. You can get it from your own body, right? From your own fat or bone marrow, or you can get it from the umbilical cord. So I have a lecture on YouTube. It's called Are All MSCs Created Equal? I basically broke down the differences between these different types of stem cell therapy. If you go through the 40-minute lecture, you go through the evidence I'm presenting to you from research from around the world, then you probably will reach the same conclusion that I did, that umbilical cord, which is the early birth tissue source, is actually superior to a person's own. So just that, there's a difference, right? What are you using? Are you using your own? So if you're 40 years old, then your stem cells are 40 years old. Not only you have
I'm
drastic
37, but thank you so much. I
not
know you
well,
can't tell with the gray
oh,
hair,
I
but
know 37 is so much better than 40. Um, so your own stem cells will be 37 years old. So that is nowhere as potent as a newborn stem cell. But guess what? The umbilical cord stem cells are way younger than the newborn stem cell. So it's in between the embryonic stem cells and the newborn baby stem cells. So the cells were trapped early in embryogenesis, and the cells retained their early characteristics without having the wild potentials that's embedded in the embryonic stem cells, which can cause new tumor. But when you use umbilical cord cells, it doesn't have that potential anymore. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You have the early powerful potential, but you don't have the wild potential that leads to tumor formation. And then it's more potent than your own stem cells. So just to give you an idea, our stem cell supply drastically declined. It's like falling off a cliff. So when we were born, every one out of 10,000 cells is a stem cell. And by the time we reach our teenage years, it becomes 1 in 100,000. And when we reach our 40s, is 1 in 400,000. When we reach our 80s, is 1 in 2 million. So as you can see, you're running out of the engine that's driving repair and regeneration. That's why we age so, at a certain point, rapidly, falling off a cliff, because your organs can't be repaired as we need. So anyhow, your own stem cells may not be as potent, right? So we need to compare apples to apples. So if you're using your own stem cells, you can't quite compare it to using cells from the umbilical cord, because these are completely different sources. But you can do that if you want to. And what I see is that, the older you are, the less effective the therapy is going to be.
oh,
And
interesting.
yeah, but if you use umbilical cord cells, which a lot of people do, they go overseas to get stem cells that came from the umbilical cord. But the difference is that they are using cells that have been expanded. That means the cells were taken out of the tissue and put in a kind of culture medium and put in an incubator to grow to huge numbers. And that is a stressful situation for cells. It's not the Garden of Eden, as some people proclaim. It's actually very
Oh,
different from the human body environment that the cells are trying to adapt to. In that adaptation process, the cells can secrete all kinds of inflammatory molecules, and they can also differentiate. So when stem cells divide, they have a tendency to divide into a copy of itself and something that's more differentiated, right? That's how they preserve its own population, but continue to exert its function, which is to replenish the tissue that they're in. So if you allow the cells to grow in the culture, then they tend to divide into a copy of itself and something that's a little different, the daughter cell. That's a little more differentiated, showing more surface markers that are consistent with the donor, right? With where it came from. So that surface marker could be different from the recipient, and that could cause rejection. So if you imagine one cell divided into two cells, one copy, identical, one daughter cell, and then those two cells would divide again. So that stem cell, identical copy, will divide into identical copy and daughter cell. And the daughter cell will be divided into daughter cell and daughter cell. So by the time you have a huge pool of cells, it's great you got a lot of cells, but then the amount of stem cells is much smaller. It's small, right? Because you're actually dividing the huge pool to give to many, many people, because now you think, oh, I have so many cells I can give to a lot of people. So economically, it saves you a lot of money, because from one umbilical cord, you can treat a lot more people because you can get a lot more cells. But the actual native stem cells are much reduced in population. I have statistics showing, in one of my presentations, I talk about how when you give 10 times the number of stem cells, but these cells are expanded, you can, even though you have 10 times the number, the benefit is actually less. So it's not like the more, the better. You can be detrimental, by having so much more, but are differentiated.
So it's not like even, hey, you do a lot of these expanded cells and you're only getting 50% of the benefit. It's like you do all these expanded cells and you're actually getting less benefit than if you had done 10 times less, but only stem cells. And
Exactly.
it sounds like that's what you're saying. Like that's a lot of times what you get when you go overseas for this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it like? What's someone, okay,
Not
like,
to mention
you don't need,
get more side effects, because I've seen a lot of side effects problems. Like Tony Robbins talks about cytokine storm, saying, "Oh, if you get stem cells, just be prepared. You may get cytokine storm." I never have to counsel my patients of cytokine storm because it simply doesn't happen with native stem cells, because there's no such inflammatory molecules or these surface markers that can trigger that kind of response. So yeah,
gotcha.
that's one of the problems.
So if you're just somebody who's looking for better longevity, better health, maybe you got like that achy shoulder, but it's not something that you're going to really get like a script for, or like insurance to cover anything. How do you go about starting to utilize these to improve your quality of life, just improve your longevity, and like I kind of as an anti-aging piece? What's the
Yeah,
next
I
step?
think my approach is that if you're pretty young, let's say under the age of 45 or so, and it is a sports injury, is an acute injury, we can certainly inject locally, and that may be enough. But if you have a chronic issue, it's something that's been lingering. Why is it lingering? Because your body has not been able to repair. Because your body should be able to repair it if you have the right amount of regenerative potential, right? Just like when we're little kids, you don't worry about osteoarthritis in little kids, right? Their cartilage is not breaking down because they can repair so much faster. They have the engine behind it. So as we get older, we're losing a number of engines and we're losing the quality of the engines. So those situations, the chronic situations, we may need to do both IV and local injection to really elevate your full body's potential and reduce the inflammation. Yeah, so that would
Okay.
be my approach.
So do I need to find someone like you who specializes in this sort of thing, or like where do you go to get started with this? If someone's listening right now and is like, that sounds like what I need, what's the next step to take?
Um, Yes, they should find doctors who are well trained. Unfortunately, a lot of doctors who are doing stem cell therapy have not received any kind of training. That they realize this is great, it can help people, which is fine. But they were taking instructions from reps from certain stem cell companies that were selling the products. So that's really not the right way of being a doctor, right? You don't take orders from a rep who have no medical training. They just tell you, hey, this will work. This is what we recommend. And so you want a doctor that's gone through proper training. And this is one reason I founded the Academy. So we do at least twice a year, we do an in-person certification training course. So you want to find a doctor who's properly trained and that's using a proper product, and it becomes so confusing. This is a very competitive, confusing field because so many people are jumping in to
Mhm.
produce these products. So the quality vary greatly and they may not tell you the truth. So this is one reason I started my own stem cell company, because I couldn't find a good, trustworthy company where I can just trust that they're going to make the product and not lie to me. It just, yeah. So it's confusing. So you really have to do your research and find out if the product has what they claim that they have.
Gotcha.
So are the products, is it a cord blood product? So if it's just umbilical cord blood, then you should know that there are very little MSCs. So you think that I want MSCs, but they have less than 1% that are MSCs. If it's umbilical cord tissue cells, they may have a lot of MSCs, but they don't have all the beneficial mononuclear cells, endothelial progenitor cells, and that are contained in the cord blood. So this is why I have this formulation where I put these different sources from the umbilical cord together. So we're getting all these different cell types because we know the different cells actually work together. They're synergistic. So know whether or not the doctor's trained and whether or not the product is trustworthy. Yeah, that would be.
This would be a really good time to drop the name of your product. Also, I feel like.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the product I developed is called Chara Core. So Chara Core, Core. So that is from the company Chara Biologics, which I founded. And Chara is the Greek word for joy, because my mission in this world is to elevate the happiness level of the world. So joy, to bring more joy. And I think there's joy in healing, in the repair, because you're witnessing a miracle of the body, right? So there is joy in that. So it's okay to not be well, to be sick, but you know what? You can experience the joy when you start to repair and regenerate and witness your body's capabilities.
Awesome. Aptly named, Dr. Joy. Um, like, what's the difference between stem cells and peptides? I feel like they're both getting a lot of press right now for similar reasons. I know there's a lot of peptides will claim to do different things. Do you use those synergistically, or do you
I
feel like
do.
peptides kind of a
Yeah, I
knockoff
use both
of?
in our clinic. I do think they're very synergistic. So peptides are little short sequences of amino acids secreted by cells. So they're made by cells. Cells, of course, contains DNA, which is the mothership. It's the intelligence, the blueprint that can tell you what to do and can secrete relevant peptides that your body needs. So the cells can secrete peptides, growth factors, different types of exosomes. These are little packages that contain a lot of like microRNA. It has also various growth factors. So the cells are what's producing peptides, and peptides is one of the it's like a language, right? So the cells are giving instructions to the DNA is allowing the cells to make different peptides for different situations. The beauty of peptides is that it's very specific. I think there are 300,000 different kinds of peptides that we have discovered, that way we know that there are. So it's overwhelming, right? We're literally a soup of peptides. So that's going around your body, that's telling your body different part of your cells and what to do. So the cells are the intelligence behind what gets secreted. So you cannot replace stem cells, and stem cells are the mothership. You can't replace that. But peptides can be very helpful because let's say a person comes to me with cardiovascular issues. There are peptides that are more specific to help repair the cardiovascular system, or someone with immune dysregulation, or peptides just for that, or something for the brain. So I can really tailor what signals I'm sending it to the body along with the stem cells. So they can augment the benefits. So I think it's important to utilize all the tools that we have. So in our clinic, we don't just use stem cells and peptides. We use ozone therapy. We use different supplements. We use laser light as a form of therapy. We can use sound, certain shock wave. There's so many things that we can utilize and kind of getting into different angles at the rejuvenative capability of the body.
Where's your clinic located?
It's in Los Angeles.
Okay, cool. So, all right, and you stay in
Yeah.
California then?
Yeah, it's called Chara Health. So
Okay.
people just look up Chara Health. Yeah. Um, yeah, we have people who fly from all around the world. And what's funny is that, people think that we have to go overseas. And of course, there's tremendous prestige of Europe. And, everyone is like bowing down to anything Germany or Switzerland does. Oh my God, it must be the best. People don't realize that United States leads the way in stem cell therapy in the world.
Oh,
We have the most amount of research, far ahead of any other country. The next to the US is China conducting stem cell research, but we are
okay.
still the leader. And as far as the number of providers, it just is blowing up. It's just funny because we're all kind of, not quite out in the open in the sense that we're advertising that we do stem cell therapy, because guess what? Certain entities won't let you advertise. Google, Instagram, Facebook,
Hmm.
they basically said, oh, we don't approve. We think that this is part of miracle cure category. That never mind, these
Uh,
are not medical professionals. They haven't read all the research from around the world, but they're making medical decisions. They said, oh, these are miracle cures, so we can't let you advertise. So basically,
that's fun.
doctors cannot advertise. So no one knows who's doing what. And then some doctors are
Gotcha.
scared of being targeted by the FDA or medical board, and then they just won't mention it on their website. So but
I get shut down for like trying to advertise protein on Facebook all the time, like protein and aminos. They don't like
Oh
that
my, are
either.
you serious?
But guess what? I just bought off of a Facebook ad.
Yeah.
Mushrooms, psilocybin. Yeah, just bought it off of an internet ad.
Okay. We'll see
Yeah, so that's
how long that
fine. But
lasts.
protein no go.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Mind-boggling. Yeah, the kind of
wait.
control.
Yeah,
Yeah,
backwards.
so but even with that kind of control and censorship, the number of clinics, stem cell clinics, have quadrupled in the last 5 years. So that's the latest statistic I've read. So that just
Wow.
shows you why it's a grassroots movement. You can't stop it. So at one point, they just have to say, okay, all right, so everyone is doing it. And it has been proven very, very safe. It's helping all these conditions. So they have to change their approach. They can't just say you can't do it. Let me tell you, I'll pull up my PDA, right? My drug, information compilation. You tell me any drug, I'll pull it up and I'll show you the side effects. Incredible amount of serious side effects and then just common side effects. If stem cell therapy has like any one of those serious, not even common, like some of any of those side effects almost that I think will be shut down. This is how safe it is. I challenge people to go on, but just remember, every medical treatment is operator dependent, right? If you inject stem cells into places you shouldn't be injecting to, like the eyeballs, that you don't know what you're doing, like a clinic in Florida that got shut down. They injected people in the eyeballs, I think blinded 3 people, and they injected two at a
Oof.
time. You never do that. You don't do 2 eyes at a time. But so it's operator dependent, just like surgery, right? There are all kinds of surgeries. And let's say a knee replacement surgery, and there's a bad surgeon that did a terrible job, somebody died. Do you ban the surgery? Do you say this surgery is from now on, not available because, it's shut down? You don't do that, right? It's not about the surgery. So it's not about the stem cells, it's about the operator and how they're operating. So just keep that in mind.
Gotcha. But it's not petroleum based and available from a large pharmaceutical company, so it's not okay.
Yeah, we're definitely, out of the box there. So not
Yeah.
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. For now. So I got a kind of a random question I want to wrap up with, but like this is kind of a grassroots thing. Like you said, we're growing. It's quadrupled in the last 5 years. Is there a place that like if you're looking to like invest or take advantage of some of the advancements in stem cells that you would be able to like, outside of becoming a doctor and opening a stem cell clinic, where would someone go to take advantage of this emerging technology?
You're talking about from a monetary standpoint.
Mhm. Yeah. And this is
Oh.
completely 100% just something that I want to know.
I guess you could look for stem cell companies. I mean, that's one possibility. Or
Chara
clinics.
Health not going public yet.
No, no, no intention for that. Or for clinics. And that I think the potential is astronomical. So you can definitely invest in, either of the two, clinic, the product provider or the clinic, providing the services. But as far as individuals, how they want to take advantage of this new technology for themselves, I think if you would like to slow down the rate of your decline that comes with aging, and if you would like to even reverse that, become younger, then you will be a fool not to take advantage of it, because this is the first time in history we can actually do that. This is powerful because I'm kind of a guinea pig for it. I wasn't doing stem cells with that in mind at the time. I thought I just wanted to have good functions and, I want to feel, even more vibrant, right? So 8 years ago, that's when I started doing stem cells. But what I can tell you is that it has reversed my age. So, and I do believe your skin, your face is a reflection of what's inside your body. But if you just look at my pictures from now, so I'm 53 years old. I can show you pictures of me when I was 43. I definitely look a lot younger. So that is the side effects of doing regular IV stem cells. And I have a lecture online called Anti-Aging Benefits of Stem Cells. I actually presented all kinds of evidence of a lot of them are animal studies, some human studies, but a lot of them are animal studies where you can actually study lifespan, giving old animals young stem cells, reverted everything back to a younger state. So they've categorized that by testing for neurotransmitters, growth factors, senescent markers in the animals.
That's wild. Okay. Yeah, I'm in. I'll come. I'm going to come right over. And by the way, if you're just listening to this and you're not watching on YouTube or something like that, Dr. Joy looks like she's like 26. So
Oh.
yeah, when you said the face like reflects how what's happening on the inside, I was like, oh, that's bad news for me. Dr. Joy, this has been amazing. I'm going to link up your YouTube channel, which is youtube.com at joykongmd, and then joykongmd.com is your website. But this has been really, really fascinating. Something that I think that a lot of people should look into. I personally am going to start like using some of these things because I would like to reverse aging. I want to live to be 150. Why not? Tell me, like, what do you want to leave us with today? Any
um
last thoughts?
yeah, definitely respect your body. So I think a lot of people, when they put bad things into their body, when they don't exercise, they don't, respect. This is a gift, right? You're staying in this body for some time. This is a gift. So respect your body, and take control of your own health. Don't trust put all your faith in doctors. I mean, this is so sad. I'm a doctor, but so medical mistakes are the third leading cause of death, right? And those are medical mistakes. There are a lot of things that doctors are doing, the medications they're giving you. They're not mistakes. They're just regular medical practice. And those can also lead to severe decline and diseases. And those are not even counted. So I think effectively, your doctor has become, I hate to say, it sounds so drastic, a effective way of causing your decline, to put it mildly. So you may want to really take control of your own health. Yes, you go to doctors for some guidance, but don't think that what they say is like from the Bible. No, they are still on their way and they have their limitations. So really take responsibility for yourself.
I love that. Thank you for leaving with that. Don't coming from a doctor, don't trust doctors. Take control of your own health. Dr. Joy, this was absolutely a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of your wisdom with us. We'll
Yeah,
talk to you soon.
absolutely. It's been such a fun conversation. Thank you, Nate.